My name is Clarissa Monroe, 28 years old. When my mom first told me we couldn't afford Christmas for the kids this year, I wanted to believe her. She sat at my kitchen table, wringing her hands, her voice trembling like she was confessing a crime. Groceries are ridiculous. Rent keeps climbing. Honey, I just don't have it in me this year. Her eyes shimmered with tears. She even dabbed at them with the corner of a napkin like she couldn't hold back. I nodded, trying to be the good daughter. I told myself I understood. Everyone was struggling. We didn't need extravagance. We could make do with a simple breakfast together, a quiet holiday. She said it broke her heart that the grandkids wouldn't have much under the tree, but we could all be grateful for what we had. I hugged her before she left and promised I'd bring cinnamon rolls. Something warm, something small. Christmas morning came quietly. My daughter, Kay, 6 years old and still bathed in the magic of childhood, bounced out of bed in sparkly thrift store pajamas I'd wrapped myself the night before. Her hair was a tangle of soft curls, her cheeks pink with expectation. She twirled once in the living room, the tree lights reflecting off the tiny snow globe I'd found at a thrift shop for $2. "Do you like it?" I asked, heart in my throat. She smiled, hugging the globe like it was treasure. "I love it, Mommy." I thought maybe that was enough. Maybe simplicity could heal disappointment. Maybe gratitude could stretch far enough to cover the gaps. She didn't whine, didn't pout, just smiled in her new pajamas and set the snow globe on the table like it was priceless. For a moment, I let myself breathe. Then I made the mistake of opening Facebook. The first thing that hit me was noise. A live video autoplayed, the volume blaring before I could stop it. Laughter, screaming, the crackle of a fireplace. My stomach tightened before my brain even caught up. It was my mom's living room, not mine, hers, the same living room she'd cried in, saying she couldn't afford Christmas. Except here, it was glowing. A massive tree, ornaments glittering like jewelry, a roaring fire, and dozens, no, hundreds, of wrapped gifts spread across the carpet like a department store display. Boxes flying, shiny paper raining down. My sister Lindsay's 3 kids tearing into brand names: Apple, Nike, Lego, Beats. One of her twins squealed while ripping open a PS5. In the corner of the screen, my mom laughed louder than I'd ever heard, recording the whole thing like it was the happiest morning of her life. The toast in my mouth turned to sawdust. Beside me, Kay froze. She leaned closer, her eyes wide, lips parted. She didn't say anything right away. She just watched as the twins squealed and my mom clapped, her voice chiming. "This is what Christmas is supposed to feel like." Finally, Kay whispered, so quiet I almost missed it. "Mom, why didn't Santa come to us?" My throat closed. I couldn't answer her, couldn't form a single word. My fingers moved without permission, scrolling, screenshotting. First the video, then the pile of gifts, then my banking app. A transfer, December 3rd, $2,400, wired straight to my mom. The memo line, mortgage, love you. My vision blurred, my breath came shallow. The betrayal hit so sharp it almost felt physical, like a knife twisting under my ribs. I posted 2 screenshots, one of the money I'd sent, the other of their extravagant Christmas morning. Above it, I typed a single word: canceled. I turned off my phone and sat in silence. But silence didn't last. At exactly 8:45 a.m., the pounding started. Not knocking, pounding, fists on wood like she was ready to break it down. When I opened the door, my mom stood there, hair a wild mess, slippers on, her coat flapping open like she'd run across town without fastening it. Her face was flushed with rage, eyes wild. She shoved her way inside before I could speak, her voice already rising. "How dare you air private things on Facebook? You don't understand. Lindsay's kids needed this. They've been through so much. You made me look like a liar. You're being petty. You're—" Her words blurred into a roar. Kay peeked from the hallway, clutching her snow globe against her chest like a shield. I stood there, hands trembling but my voice steady, waiting until Mom's shouting ran out of steam. Then I asked the only question that mattered. "Did you use the mortgage money I sent for their Christmas?" The air shifted. Her jaw tightened. Her gaze fell to the floor, then flicked up at Kay, then back to me. She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. Instead, she muttered, "I had to even things out. They'd have been crushed without it." Something cold spread through me. I told her to leave. For a moment, her mouth opened like she wanted to fight, to spit more excuses, but something in my face must have stopped her. She turned, muttering under her breath, and slammed the door behind her. The silence after was louder than her shouting. Kay stood in the hallway, her little hands white-knuckled around the snow globe. I walked to her, crouched down, and brushed her hair back. "It's okay, sweetheart." She didn't answer. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat in the living room with only the Christmas lights for company. My phone glowed on the coffee table, no messages from my mom, none from Lindsay. But the rage didn't fade. It simmered, boiled quietly. Because this wasn't the first time. It was just the clearest, the proof finally visible. And I decided right then, if they wanted me out of their little Christmas fairy tale, they were going to get their wish. Not all at once. That would have been too easy for them. I was going to cut them off piece by piece, make them feel it. That Facebook post was the only explanation they were going to get. The silence that followed was loud enough to reveal everything they weren't saying. But deep down, I knew. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The days after Christmas carried a strange quiet. Not peace. Never peace. Just silence. Heavy and deliberate. The kind that makes you wonder what people are saying behind your back when they won't say it to your face. I waited for my mom to call, to explain, to beg. She didn't. Lindsay didn't message either. No apologies, no clarifications. Just nothing. And maybe that silence was the confirmation I needed. They thought I'd cool off eventually, that I'd sweep it under the rug like always, play the role they'd written for me. The strong one, the giver, the dependable daughter who paid the bills without complaint. Not this time. So I started slow. The first cut was clean and simple. They were all still on my phone plan. My mom, my dad, even Lindsay's oldest. 3 extra lines draining money out of my account every month. I canceled them all in one click. That evening, a text popped up from Lindsay's number. "Our phones just stopped working. Is there an outage?" I stared at it until the screen dimmed and went dark. No reply. Next came Costco. Years ago, when Dad retired and money tightened, I'd added them all to my membership. They used it for everything: groceries, gas, bulk cleaning supplies. I logged in, removed their access, and shut the door. A few days later, Dad left me a voicemail. His voice sounded almost bewildered, like a child who couldn't grasp cause and effect. "Hey, just tried picking up a few things, and the card didn't go through. Thought maybe there was a mistake." There wasn't. In January, I kept the mortgage payment going, just to see how long they'd pretend nothing was wrong. I thought maybe the Facebook post had shocked them into silence, that they were lying low out of shame. But no, they were just waiting for me to cave. That month, no thank you, no check-in, just silence and a cashed check. By February, I pulled the next string, the grocery money. Mom used to text me a list every week: milk, eggs, laundry soap, and I'd order it through Instacart. She didn't send anything that month, not until the second week when a message appeared. "Hey, sweetie, just checking in. Things have been a little rough lately. If you happen to have anything extra for food this week, we'd really appreciate it." I read it 3 times. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then I typed one sentence. "Kay says hi." 3 dots appeared, then vanished. No reply. That same night, my Uncle Tony messaged out of nowhere. Said they were throwing Lindsay a birthday dinner and asked if I could chip in. He called it a family thing. I sent him a screenshot of the Gucci gift box from Lindsay's Christmas post. Nothing else. He left me on red. Mid-February, the cracks started showing. First, Lindsay sent a short text. "Mom said you've been acting weird. You okay?" Then a longer one. "Look, I know you're upset, but this has gotten out of hand. The kids miss Kay. I miss her. Let's talk." I ignored both. A day later, a voice message buzzed through. Lindsay's voice was soft, rehearsed, like she was testing out a new personality. "I don't want things to spiral. Family is family. We should rise above the drama." I blocked her. The next weekend, Mom texted about her car. "Making a weird noise. Could you maybe help with repairs?" I left her on red. That night, Dad called. I almost didn't pick up, but something told me to answer. At first, his tone was calm, measured. "I want to visit. Talk things through. No yelling." I said no. That's when the real reason slipped out. His voice sharpened, just a hint of desperation. "So, you're just going to let the house go? Just like that?" "Yes," I said. Silence stretched on the line, then I hung up. 3 days later, Lindsay posted a quote on her Instagram story. White text on a black background. "Cutting people off doesn't make you heartless. It makes you honest." I almost laughed. They were trying to paint themselves as the victims, as if I hadn't been the one feeding their lives for years. By March, things went quiet again. A silence so thick it felt like a trap. No calls, no texts, no birthday invitations, no guilt-laden requests, just absence. But silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it means planning. I could feel it in my bones. They weren't done. And then Easter came. I hadn't planned anything big. Just a small backyard egg hunt for Kay, a basket with chocolates, a few plastic eggs filled with jelly beans. She didn't need grand gestures, just laughter, a little sugar, and the thrill of finding an egg in the grass. We were sitting on the porch painting eggs when her iPad pinged. She rarely got messages. Her contacts list was locked down tight. Me, her teacher, 2 cousins. I wiped my hands, walked over, and glanced at the screen. It was a video from my mom. I clicked. And there it was again. Lindsay's kids, holding up giant Easter baskets stuffed with branded toys, gift cards, even cash. Behind the camera, my mom's voice rang out, syrupy and triumphant. "You guys better thank the Easter Bunny. This is what love looks like." One of the twins looked up and asked, "Are we going to see Kay?" And my mom answered, clear as a bell, "No, not this year. Her mommy's being difficult again." I froze. Kay had been watching over my shoulder. She didn't cry. She didn't say a word. She just stood up, carried her little paintbrush inside, and closed her bedroom door without asking. That broke me, not because of what Mom said, but because of how quietly my daughter accepted it. Like she already knew. Like she had expected it. That night, I opened my laptop, logged into the mortgage account, and canceled the recurring payment. No warning, no explanation. Let them figure it out when the bill came due. I called a locksmith the next morning and changed the locks on my house, just in case. Because I knew now. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about control, and I was done giving it to them. By April, the silence had turned into something darker. It wasn't absence anymore. It was calculation. The kind of quiet that hums with menace, like a storm pressing against closed windows. It arrived in a plain white envelope. No return address, just my name scrawled in shaky cursive. Inside was a draft will, printer ink faint, pages cheap and unbound. At the top, my parents' names, dated only a week earlier. The words swam in front of me. We, being of sound mind, leave our home, belongings, and all financial assets to our daughter Lindsay, who has remained faithful and supportive through our final years. No inheritance is to be given to our daughter Clarissa, who has chosen to separate herself from this family. Taped to the front was a yellow post-it, 4 words in my mother's unmistakable handwriting. You made your choice. My hands went cold. It wasn't the will itself that gutted me. I didn't care about their house or their belongings, most of which I had paid for anyway. It was the message. They were rewriting the story, casting me as the selfish daughter, the betrayer. I slid the pages into a drawer and poured a glass of wine, but my stomach churned long after midnight. 2 days later, the whispers started. Emails from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Old coworkers, acquaintances, even a high school friend. "Hey, just checking in. Your mom mentioned you've been going through a rough patch. Hope you're okay. Lindsay told me you've been acting different. If you need to talk, I'm here." Piece by piece, they were constructing a narrative. Not just to me, to the world. And it worked, at least at first. People pitied them. Reached out to me cautiously, like I was fragile, unstable, exactly how my family wanted me to look. Then came the flyer. Kay came home from art class with it folded into her backpack. A church food drive, innocent enough. But attached to it was a sticky note. God doesn't turn his back on family. Maybe you shouldn't either. My blood ran hot. I called the community center. The receptionist hesitated, then told me they'd already had complaints about a woman loitering in the parking lot 3 afternoons in a row. Said she claimed she was waiting for her granddaughter. They were reviewing security footage. I didn't need to see it. I already knew who it was. That night, a new Facebook account appeared in my inbox. No profile picture, no posts. The name was Family First. The message, "Your daughter doesn't deserve to grow up like this. She deserves us. You'll regret this when she's older." I didn't block it, not yet. I wanted to see what else they'd try. The next 3 days brought a steady drip of poison. Screenshots of old family photos, pictures of Kay from years past, even clips of my parents' house decorated for Easter. Then came the voice message. Not words, just breathing. Slow, heavy, gravel crunching underfoot. They wanted to rattle me, but something in me had shifted. I wasn't scared anymore. I was documenting. I opened a Google Doc and began a ledger. Dates, times, screenshots, every message, every photo. I even snapped pictures of the flyer, the sticky note, the fake will. If they wanted to play games, I'd build a record strong enough to choke them with. But even walls of evidence can't stop a chill when it crawls up your spine. So I called my cousin, Tara. She had always kept her distance, called my mom stage 5 manipulative years before I had the courage to say it out loud. I told her everything. She didn't sound surprised, but she told me something I wasn't expecting. Lindsay told a friend you lost everything, Tara said, that you're having a breakdown, that Kay is not even in school, and CPS might be involved soon. She said the family is ready to step in if needed. My stomach dropped. They weren't just smearing me, they were building a case. A fake one, but dangerous all the same. Then Tara added, my friend's a paralegal. She saw that will. If they actually mailed it knowing it's fake, that's not just manipulation. That's fraud. That's legally traceable. For the first time in months, I felt something shift, a flicker of power. This wasn't just toxic anymore. This was criminal. The next day, I booked an appointment with a family lawyer. I walked into his office with a binder full of printouts, voice memos, screenshots. He flipped through the pages, his expression unreadable. When I told him about the gift bag Mom had left at Kay's school, complete with a card that read, Grandma loves you always, no matter what Mommy says, he set the file down and looked me in the eye. Have they tried to contact your daughter directly? I nodded. Yes, videos, messages, that bag, even drafts saved in her old tablet. He didn't hesitate. You're going to want a restraining order, not just for you, for your daughter. And if they escalate, we escalate legally. I walked out of that office lighter than I'd felt in years. For once, I wasn't reacting. I was protecting. A week later, the papers were filed. I didn't tell my family. Let the court system deliver the message. The day the notice arrived, my mom left a 2-minute voicemail. Her voice cracked with tears, rambling about how I was punishing them for loving Kay too much. We only wanted her to know we're still here. You're poisoning her against us. Then she said something that froze my blood. She asked about us, Clarissa. She misses us. She said she doesn't understand why you're doing this. But she hadn't. Not once. Kay had adjusted with grace, sleeping better, laughing more, drawing pictures of superheroes with sparkly markers. She had never once mentioned missing them. They were lying, using my daughter's voice as a weapon. That night, I sat across from Kay at the dinner table. Between bites of macaroni, I asked casually, do you ever miss Christmas at Grandma's? She shrugged. It was loud, and they didn't like my doll. That was it. No heartbreak, no longing. I kissed the top of her head and decided right then, whatever my family was planning, they weren't going to get near her again. Because now I wasn't just withdrawing. I was severing. The restraining order was supposed to be the end, a legal wall they couldn't climb. But people like my family don't respect walls. They chip at them, test the edges, look for cracks. The first crack came on a Monday morning. Nothing unusual. Cartoons humming in the background. Kay singing to herself while I packed her lunch. My phone buzzed once, then again, 6 times in half an hour, all from blocked numbers. I ignored them. Then a text slipped through, using a third-party app to bypass the block. The name flashed across my screen like a ghost. Lindsay. Her message was short. She's going to hate you when she's older. We would have given her everything. You took that away. I set the phone down without answering. Later that afternoon, the school called. The secretary's voice was uneasy. Hi, Clarissa. Someone came in asking to pick up Kay. She claimed to be your mother, said there was an emergency. When we asked for ID, she said it was in the car and left. I froze. They checked the cameras. A woman in a baseball cap and sunglasses. The build, the walk. I didn't need confirmation. It was her. That same hour, I called my lawyer, then the police. Attempted custodial interference. Violation of the restraining order. We added it to the file. That was the last time they tried in person, but they weren't done. They just shifted tactics. One evening, while helping Kay adjust her old drawing tablet, I stumbled across drafts saved in the Notes app. Not drawings. Messages. Hi, sweetheart. We miss you so much. Santa kept your presents here. Don't worry. Mommy doesn't let us talk to you, but we still love you. You can write back anytime. It'll be our little secret. They hadn't sent them, just saved them in drafts, waiting for her to find them. Worse, there were uploads to the cloud. Old photos of her bedroom at my parents' house. Voice memos saying, "We love you, Kay. We're still here." I turned to her, heart hammering. "Have you seen these?" She nodded once, eyes cast down. "I didn't tell you, because I didn't want you to feel bad." She had been protecting me. That broke something in me. That night, I boxed the tablet, wiped it clean, and bought her a new one, locked down tighter than Fort Knox. I changed every account, every password. Then I sat her down. I didn't give her the ugly details, but I told her the truth. Sometimes people, even people who say they love us, don't make safe choices. We're not mad. We're just done. She studied me for a second, then asked, "So they're not coming back?" I swallowed. "No, not anymore." She didn't cry. She smiled. "Can we bake cookies this weekend?" "Yes, baby, we can." That night, another burner message arrived. A string of numbers for a username. The message, "She'll never forgive you." I typed one word in reply, "Enough." Then I blocked it, deleted the app, and handed every piece of evidence to my lawyer. It's been 4 months now. No more calls, no more strange letters or half-baked guilt trips. They still try to poke through, a forwarded message here, a rumor whispered there. A former coworker told me my mom was saying I was emotionally abusing Kay, that they were praying for her to be rescued. But none of it reaches me anymore, because I shut every door. And this time I locked them. Kay is happy. She laughs freely now. She draws little comics where she's a superhero with laser eyes and a psychic puppy who eats bad guys. Sometimes when she's drifting to sleep, she whispers, "I'm glad it's just us." Me too. They thought my giving made me weak, that my sacrifices meant they could take and take, rewriting me as the villain when I finally said no. What they didn't realize was that the moment I stopped giving, I became unstoppable. No more. And I meant it.